offence in terms of Section 32 of the National Prosecuting Authority Act, in that they had interfered unlawfully. Another person's name was Manzini. Another person's name was, he was the head of crime intelligence. Which included his boss. Anyway, I opened docket against all of these people, a single docket, because I felt that it would be appropriate that they would have to explain their conduct during the Selebi trial and the latter end of the investigation, the Selebi investigation. And as a result of opening that docket, I then found out that actually they had opened the docket against me. So now they say, okay, we're now going to open a docket against you. And that's what they did. And as for some reason, both dockets were kind of set off. And I thought, wow, I knew that the charges against me were fake, but I knew that the allegations I made against them were not fake. But the prosecution service decided, it's tit for tat. We're going to cancel your docket and we're going to cancel their docket. So now you can carry on. And I wasn't happy with that. And the reason I wasn't happy with it was because I could see that the criminal conduct was still carrying on. So I thought, wow, so they all get off scot-free. And I decided, no, that can't be right. I must carry on pushing. So I opened another docket in either 2013 or 2014 against some of them. By now I had further information and I supplemented the prior docket and I said, no,
And you mentioned persons at paragraph 42.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. So by that stage, I had become aware of the conduct of the late Ms. Dudu Mayeni at South African Airways. I had also become aware of, in 2014, of the conduct, or at that stage it was just alleged conduct, of Lieutenant General Bashlani. And what had happened was, we had a commissioner of police, another civilian, a lady by the name of Ria Pierka. And I sent a number of emails to Ria Pierka setting out what I believe to be serious challenges that the police were facing in terms of corruption within the police. And I named some of the people concerned. And most regrettably, she passed my emails on to them. And that left me in a position now where they opened counter investigations against me. And so I then discovered that there were cops following me. And there were cops going around talking to people and asking questions about me. So I thought, no, I had to take the fight back to them. So I started doing that.
So is that the difficult years that you referred to at paragraph 43 between 2014 and 2018?
That's correct. So lots of things started happening to me at that stage.
Are you able to summarize them with reference to the annexes or one of the annexes that's annexed to your affidavit?
So that would probably be this document that I refer to as joining the dots, which is at page B74.
Yes. Now that document is from
June 2017. but it deals with the years prior to June 17. It doesn't deal with what happened after June 2017.
Yeah.
And what that document does is it names a number of the individuals which I believed at that stage had infiltrated the criminal justice system. And I named them and I explained where I believed they fitted in to this infiltration process.
Just pause there. The report, joining the dots, confidential report on page 74, it's dated June 2017. It was published in conjunction with AfriForum in late 2017.
That's correct. In fact, it had been updated by June 2017. So I had produced, together with AfriForum, another report called John in the Dots. And that would have been 6 months or 7 months earlier. But by June 2017, we had more information. We had more understanding of what I considered to be, well, I wasn't on my own in considering it. By that stage, the then public protector had issued a report, and the report was called State of Capture. And I looked at the aspects of that report, State of Capture, and how that interleaved, how it fitted in with what I was seeing going on in the criminal justice system.
And is that then results in what you called a special report on state capture?
I did a further report.
That's on page 95.
Yes, but I produced that report in June 2019.
Yes.
So that's like 2 years later. So what had happened was I had set out the persons that I believed were involved in criminal conduct in this report. I then set out what I believed they had done. And by the way, this was published, and not a single one of them ever came and said, we're issuing you with a summons for defamation. And then I named the people that I believed they were protecting, and I'm talking about people in the criminal justice system protecting criminals. And
so in this period, post Jackie Selebi and his conviction and prosecution and conviction, and you now embark on also pursuing the persons that you've mentioned in your affidavit, quite a number of them senior officials in the criminal justice system, prosecutors, officials. Was there any successful prosecution subsequently for the period 2011-2012 through to June 2019?
There were arrests and trials commenced. And by 2020, I think a total of 12 generals had been arrested and or suspended and or dismissed from the police and were facing criminal charges, as well as a number of brigadiers and colonels. And this, you can say, played out in the criminal charges that were brought against the people I've named. And it appeared to lead to what I would have considered to be a cleanup of the police. And most of these people were
So was this
police
as a direct result of the work you were doing and the
It was
cases
partially.
that you were opening?
It was partially as a result of that, because after I opened these cases, for example, the cases I opened against the late Duru Maeni, after I opened these cases, I then had interactions with prosecutors and police, and further investigations took place. And then after I opened cases against Bashlani, I opened that case with IPID because he's the acting commissioner of police. So you can't go to the police station and open a case. In the same way, when it came to Jackie Selebi, I opened the case with ICD.
What triggered you opening a case or a complaint, laying complaints with IPID in respect of General Bashlani?
Chairman, I got a tip-off. And the tip-off came from a person who worked in the police. He was the head of forensics in the Eastern Cape. And he approached me.
Munsami.
That's it, yes. Colonel Munsami. He's gone on pension now. He later was promoted to brigadier. But he approached me in, I think, August 2014. No, sorry, August 2015. And he approached me and told me, listen, I'd like to give you some information about corruption with General Bashlani, who at the time wasn't the acting commissioner of police. He was a divisional commissioner of forensic services. So I invited him, next time you're in Johannesburg, come and see me. And then about a month later, I hadn't heard from him, so I sent him an email. I said, are we on? Are you going to do something, or what's the story? He wrote back and he said, no, I've decided I'm going to handle this internally. And because the police are investigating my complaint. And then I thought, okay, well, there's nothing I can do there. And then about 6 or 8 weeks later, Bashlani was no longer the divisional commissioner of forensics. He was appointed as the acting commissioner of police. So after he was appointed the acting commissioner of police, I thought, wow, this is the guy that this fellow Musami had reached out to me 6 months earlier and said was corrupt. Now, he was appointed after Ria Piecha was suspended. And she was suspended pending an investigation to determine her fitness to hold office as a result of the tragic events that took place at Marikon, where it was alleged, and I never looked into all that, but it was alleged that it was her leadership in the police that caused that. I didn't look into that. That wasn't something I was looking at. I was more interested not in mismanagement of the police, but more in corruption within the police. That became my focus of attention. I think it's fair to say by then it was in my DNA to not stand idly by and see rampant corruption going on. So I decided that the best thing to do was to focus on all of these individuals. And lo and behold, at the time that I had, or at the time that General Bashlani was appointed Commissioner of Police, I thought to myself, okay, let's try out to see, is he a good cop or a bad cop? So I sent him an email explaining to him that I had previously supplied information to Ria Piecha, which I believe implicated a certain other general in corruption. And this general had appointed, I'd opened dockets against that general as well. This general had appointed a person to lead a mini project in looking into me. It's what happens, unfortunately, when you investigate corrupt cops, they use the resources of the state to investigate you. And trust me, at one stage, there was a team of 30 cops who were doing nothing else all day long for about a year than trying to find something they could take Paul O'Sullivan down on. But be that as it is, my approach to Bashlani, I gradually ramped up.
Chair, it's not a follow-up question. There's a decorum in this house. He has been saying Bashlani, Bashlani. We don't have Bashlani here.
Okay, sorry.
We have Mr. Bashlani.
Sorry, Mr. Bashlani. Sorry.
It's general.
General Bashlani. All right, sorry. You know, I'm just thinking out of my brain. Mr. Bashlani, he's not the general. He was a general. Anyway, Mr. Bashlani, now the problem with that interruption is it's broken my chain of thought. What was I saying? Oh, yes, yes. So what had happened was I had asked Mr. General, he was a general then, I asked General Bashlani to take action to pick up where General Piega had left off and carry on with this investigation into what I consider to be corrupt senior police officials.
Just pause. There's a letter, I think, that your attorneys wrote to then General Piega. And it's that letter you say that was passed on to, is it General or Brigadier Munu? Munu.
Lieutenant General Munu. Can you, Chairman, can you ask, or sorry, can you point me in the direction of that document?
Just help us that Furman letter. Yeah, the letter that from then is wrote 23. Okay, you can continue. In the meantime, I'll get some help to find it. It's not in the reference.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I in fact have serialized everything on my computer.
No, the only reason why I asked you for that, because that
Yeah, it's a very good letter.
I recall
It was
sort of
in 2015.
captured all
Yes, it listed
the
every,
complaints that you had, which were then referred to General Piega. No, it's a here's the so perhaps while we also try and find it, Mr. Sullivan, just continue with your evidence.